Nicknamed the Glove. For his suffocating style, Gary Payton is the only point guard in league history to win Defensive Player of the Year. With his brash and bold attitude, Payton led the Sonics to the finals in 1996 and won it all with Miami a decade later.
Gary Payton, the Glove. One of the best defenders I've ever seen. Told you what he was going to do and do it.
GP. My man, GP.
If your head lumpy, I tell you your head lumpy.
Probably the best trash talker in the history of the NBA, and it's been a lot.
He was the type player that was going to give everything he had physically, and then also let everybody know about it.
I can get heated up when you want me to. Yeah.
He was going to talk trash to the guy he was guarding, talk trash to the opposing coach, and just let everyone know in the building Gary Payton was in the house.
Gary Payton, the Glove. GP is the Glove because on defense, he will be on you like a glove.
Gary rips it away, goes the other way into the lane. Up top, Kemp is there!
Stolen by Payton. He makes a huge play.
I mean, for point guards, he was a nightmare. He had those long arms. He was quick. He was fast. He was tenacious, and he was just mean enough to want to shut you out.
Nice left-handed entry to Gary. Turns up and under on Stockton. Okey-doke.
He was there every night, and you know you had a battle. So you kind of had to pencil that Seattle game on the calendar and say, okay, I know I'm in for a war here.
Smitty, it is hard for guards out in the perimeter to be honored as the best defensive player in the league. And Gary Payton did it.
The only point guard to win Defensive Player of the Year. I got a taste of Gary. We got a chance to play against each other, Oregon State, Michigan State. And the first of all, we were chirping.
Of course you were.
At the beginning of the game, so that's where I knew he's one of the best talkers ever in the game of basketball. Then defensively, I got a chance to see this 6'4" guard who could change the game on the defensive end. The one thing I would love to say about Gary that everybody talks about his defense, but go look up his offensive numbers. Gary was always around 19, 20, 21 points, could rebound the basketball, an unbelievable passer, and one of the best lob passers we've ever seen in a game. And then he played 17 seasons as a point guard. That was some longevity back then.
When you think about the Seattle franchise, you've got to think about what he meant to that organization, to that city, to the state of Washington.
You're so right. I mean, him and Sean Kemp, led by Gary Payton, both those guys, they had that Seattle Supersonics team rocking. I mean, the lobs, the play. I mean, Gary had that Pacific Northwest. It was all about Supersonics basketball, and everybody wanted a pair of glove shoes. And what a nickname for a guy that was a defensive player. You called him the Glove.
Yeah, the Glove was one of the great nicknames of all time. You mentioned the talking. How much of an intimidation factor was that, knowing that you'd have to not only deal with his athleticism, but his mouth on a nightly basis?
I mean, I think he couldn't play basketball without talking. I mean, Gary talked the entire game, before the game, shoot around, on the bus, and then after the game, he kept talking. That was the way he played. He wanted to get up under your skin, and he always had something to say. I love playing against him. You know, one of the good friends of mine. We've always been friends, and to this day, it was not only the talking. I think Jared took it to another level. It was the scowls. I mean, he looking at you all crazy. That was GP.
I'll tell you a story about the '96 Olympic team. We were playing an exhibition game before, obviously, the game started against a bunch of the up-and-coming college players. And it was at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And a lot like Dream Team 1, where they got ran out of the gym early against the, Grant Hills and Christian Leitners and those guys, Jamal Mashburn. We kind of took this team a little bit lightly as well in the first half. We were down by 20 points. And I remember Gary coming into the locker room and said, guys, this is unacceptable. Now, I know what I'm going to do the start of the second half. I hope you guys follow. He picked up whoever the point guards were, full court for that whole second half, and we ended up winning by like 18 points.
Oh, he ain't never seen nothing like this in college.
But if it wasn't for his leadership and, again, that defensive tenacity, I'm telling you, Gary brought it every day. Every single day and night he brought it.